asking what it meant. It was possible. The protagonist leaned slightly, smiling contentedly. He asked the chief what if they had the ability to keep the meat fresh for a while. The protagonist noted that they needed to go back a little and remember the time when they first arrived at the village. Haruch looked ahead with tears in his eyes at his father's ties. Akuch, with tears in his eyes, met his son. Haruch suddenly rushed towards the chief. Akuch bounced off the ground, heading towards his son. The father and son ran towards each other, after which they hugged each other tightly. A huge wave of energy came from their collision. The protagonist narrowed his eyes in bewilderment, watching what was happening. He noted that it was just a hug, but the effect of it was so destructive, and if he stood between them, he would have been ground into powder. The protagonist grinned wickedly, thinking that if he were to get 120 of these brave craftsmen, their productivity would skyrocket 1,000-fold. Lloyd noted that there was something else that deserved attention. Haruch presented his father with a huge ant head, telling him to watch, as he had brought the head of the queen ant. The orcs began to raise their fists in the air. The chieftain shouted to his son that he was proud of him and that this day would be a holiday. The orcs began to squat with objects on their shoulders, saying that they were just training. The brown-haired man watched what was happening in bewilderment. A golden pillar was visible on the orc's shoulders. The protagonist looked at the pillar in shock, wondering what they were doing with these golden things. The orcs were training with golden objects. Lloyd noted that it felt like they were pulling them out of thin air. The orc was clutching a golden lamp in his hand. The protagonist noted that these things were more expensive than any other sports equipment. The protagonist grinned wickedly, holding a shovel in his hands. He stated that this is why he signed a contract with the chieftain for the construction, so that they would get both labor and treasure. Xavier looked at the piece of paper carefully. He said that they would build a stone cold storage, and in return they would get all sorts of expensive trinkets, but they would need special equipment to work with stone. The blue-haired guy looked at the protagonist curiously, asking what kind of stone cold storage was this. He thought that he had never heard of such a thing. The protagonist imagined